sharing can be the difference between life and death. It's that serious. So your story, your experience, the things you've learned, is not just for you to learn and keep quiet. But we live in a world where there's this stigma around saying too much or sharing, or feels very overdone. But I've learned that these things don't really matter. They don't really matter.
All right. Yes. So good morning once again, and thank you for making it this far. Yes.
It's a pleasure. Apologies for all the back and forth.
The back and forth was a lot of back and
Yeah,
forth.
it'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah.
But I hope it's worth it.
Yes, it is.
I'm glad we could make it happen.
Yeah. And don't worry, I won't reveal that you have a special guest here, but it's nice to have your special guest. So you don't
Special
feel
guest of honor.
intimidated.
No,
Yes, you are very well.
I'm in my comfort
supported.
zone. Yes.
Absolutely. Nice. Yeah, so interestingly, trying to search through the internet to see what I can find about you.
You first find another Taiwo.
Oh, interestingly, yeah, I found you.
You found me.
Yeah,
Great.
I found you.
Great.
Someone
Making
is doing
progress.
something good, or
Yeah.
you are doing enough
Yeah.
for the internet to see you now.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great thing. But I realize that there are so many things.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that in due time. I think my first question now would be, if you were a storybook and I was reading you as a storybook, what chapter are we in at the moment?
Chapter me.
Well, the previous chapters were what?
We're not really me.
Interesting.
To be honest, I say that I live a life of service to other people, and that's what I've done all my life. And I don't think I've ever said that this chapter is for me. I don't think I've ever made that proclamation, because it's always for other people. I work mostly as a talent manager, as a creative entrepreneur, as a builder, building things for other people, representing other people,
Behind the
creating
scenes.
opportunities for other people. But this chapter, I am really leaning into myself and what I can do for myself.
You are the talent you are managing now.
Yes.
Interesting.
You can say that.
So what's changed? What struck you to make you think that it's about time?
What struck me? I didn't think anything struck me. I think the more you serve, the more you realize that one of the people you should serve is you.
Okay.
So it's just that realization that I'm still serving people. And there's one of my favorite quotes now is, I help the man to the top, and I realized I'm on the top. And I have no problem serving people. I enjoy it. But I also need to serve myself. And it was a realization maybe after I've done this for almost 10 years now. And I just want to see what I can do for myself to also start building up my own legacy as well.
Okay.
So yeah, that's essentially. It wasn't like
anything dramatic.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just knew, again, I work too hard for too many people.
Okay. That it would be
So
unfair.
that if you don't
that
do
you're not
something for
doing-
yourself as well. Yeah.
That makes me think about those fathers that everybody in the community sees as good fathers, but they deny their families of some basic things.
That's deep. Yeah, it happens every time where everything is good to other people, but your wife and children are suffering.
Yeah, they are leaving it behind.
Yeah.
But how difficult do you think that is now? I mean, taking up that challenge to say that, okay, now I need to focus more on myself. Because it's definitely not, like they say, it's easier to see the label of the bottle from the outside. Once you are inside, it's very difficult to see objectively.
And it's why I've not done this for a long time. Because I don't like sharing spotlight with people that I represent. I let them be. I take a step back. I mean, managers do it.
Okay.
Managers are on the red carpet. Managers are granting interviews back to back.
Okay.
For 7 years, I didn't do any of that. So I've seen the label long enough. I don't care if I don't see the label anymore. So I can be in the bottle. But it's hard. It's hard because I'm not a very public person, even though it might not seem that way, about my story, about what I know, about the life I've built for myself. So a lot of times you still just want to make it about the work you're doing for other people. And even in this focusing on me thing, focusing on me cannot be
Absolutely
complete without those other people as well.
Yeah.
So it's a fine balance between both.
Okay. So who is keeping you accountable in that regard?
Myself,
Okay.
mostly because I'm very self-aware.
Okay.
So I know that, okay, if I want to do something or apply for something or build something or create something that has my name on it, there is that accountability that if I don't do it, I'm not very happy, no matter what else I do for other people. So I'm good enough to be accountable to myself.
Oh, well, you don't have a choice actually. Like in reality, there's no one else that can be as accountable or keep you as accountable, maybe except your partner.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So you said something about being very aware, being self-aware. Like how long ago did you realize that you had enough awareness of who you were?
A long time. I think I've always been self-aware.
Interesting.
I don't think I can even remember when I was not self-aware.
That means you were a stubborn child.
Oh yes. Oh yes, absolutely. I was a very, what they call recalcitrant child.
I never heard that before.
Yeah, like Yoruba have a way of putting it, but I will not, for our viewers or listeners, I gave my parents a hard time. And it wasn't just because I wanted to be stubborn. You know. It was youthful exuberance. I was chasing things. I was chasing a lot of things that was not conventional.
Okay.
And according to the African Bible and the Nigerian parents,
I like that.
You will not
succeed.
You will not succeed if you don't do
or
the
you
things
bring
you
shame
should.
to
Exactly.
the family's name.
So the way they define that is stubbornness.
Yes.
I was very aware of what I wanted to do with my life. So when they said, "Oh, you must do sciences because you are the only boy, and all your sisters did arts and social sciences," I said, "No problem. I did sciences, even though I was a very creative child, painting from newspapers, hanging it in my mom's shop, doing all of those things, singing, playing drums." But they said it must be sciences. No problem. I went to do the sciences now. But at some point, I realized that I'm living a lie. And I left. That is stubbornness. That's what they would define as stubbornness.
So you left at secondary school?
No.
Okay.
I did sciences in secondary school. I did sciences at university till like my third year.
Like actual science?
Yeah, I was studying civil engineering.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I left.
You left.
And
never looked back.
There is no other definition for stubbornness in the African Bible that is more than dropping out of school. Nothing beats that. So, and then obviously you have to go and explain why. And even then I was self-aware. They gave me an undertaking to read and sign that I've chosen my path. And if anything goes wrong, it's on me. Signed it without thinking. There was a little bit of fear, but I was more aware. Yeah, I was convinced enough. Yeah, that there's nothing I would do with discipline. Nothing. So, and then I left. I didn't leave to go and be a vagabond. I went back to school, even though it was advertising school.
Okay.
So,
but you didn't drop out of that.
No, I didn't. There's a level of self-awareness you must have to know that you want to study advertising after a civil engineering attempt. You know. And after that, I knew I wanted to work in agency. So at every point in my life, there's been the deep level of awareness that I've had to make all the decisions I've made. So it's been forever. It's been forever. It gets heightened as I grow, but
Yeah.
it has always been
So
there.
what would you say has been the earliest clues that you'd be on this path? Like as far
Earliest
back as you
clues.
could think.
Which path exactly? Because if you're talking about working in entertainment and show business and managing talent, etc., it had to be from my advertising days when I was working in advertising. I knew
Okay,
that
I'm thinking now as a child.
as a
Like
child.
like what's the earliest memory you have that you can say, okay, these were the clues that I would trail this path.
I knew that I was not going to be normal. I did not know what that meant,
Okay.
but I knew that. So I grew up in a very humble family, and I had cousins and other family members that were very well to do.
Mm.
And the way it was is you don't sit where they are sat. You can't relate to their experiences. But I was there. I will be talking about things I don't know. I was just very, very interested in
Interesting.
leveling up
Mm.
or like forming alliance with people who I want to be like. And I think my sisters were not like that. They didn't. Well, they don't want us to come. No problem. We're not going there. I was the only person that would go there, and even though they were talking about cartoons that I've never heard of in my life, or they're talking about this, I'm just there. I must show up. So
So
I think that's the earliest. I was always showing up for things that
that's had nothing to do with
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
So your ego was in check.
yeah.
Okay,
It
well,
was.
I think that's a sign of like self-awareness,
Yeah,
indeed.
yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. So, looking back now, having dropped out, you don't think there was anything about that, you know, chapter that's contributed to who you are today or what you're
Absolutely
doing?
not. Well, I made friends in school that
Okay.
are still my friends today,
Mm.
and I'm very grateful for that. Um, well, yeah, I can't even say it didn't contribute. It did. It did contribute. It was a very long 3 years, and I had a rich experience in school.
Because you didn't have to
Yeah,
care so much about
yeah,
going to school, going to classes.
yeah. I actually stopped going to classes in my second year.
Ah, wow.
But you think you are still there until you don't write exams. That's when you know you're done. Yeah. So
Oh,
in
I
my third
see.
year, I stopped writing exams.
Ah, okay, I see
Yeah,
why it was inevitable
it
for
was
you to.
inevitable. Yeah,
Okay,
there's no coming back from
there's
that
no
now.
coming back.
Maybe if you are not going to class alone, somebody can sit in for you or
Yes,
something. But I didn't write exams,
interesting.
and I'm very grateful to the person that went to tell my parents that I'm not writing exams
Because
anymore.
that just sealed it.
He just sealed it because I wanted to tell them, but how? But there
You,
was a very nosy person that did that for me. So he fastened. Maybe if that person didn't do that, I would have been in school for 5 years.
before they discovered
Yeah,
that
I
this
would
man
have.
was just
It would have been
chilling.
my graduation day, and then they'll say, "Oh, we are coming." I'm like, "It's not graduation." Maybe I'll go and borrow gown or live. But yeah, it was a rich experience. I liked the school I was in as well. It was
Mm,
cool. Yeah. So
that's interesting. So, do you while you were not going to classes and all of that, were you in your room alone most of the time, or you were hanging out with people?
I was actually going to school. So there are too many things to do in school beyond class.
Okay.
I was going to school. So I had a music career
Mm,
when I was in school
okay.
that made me really busy and also relatively known.
Oh,
So I had things to do. Like I can be in school and I'm not talking about academics, and I'm not dealing with academics. I'm meeting a producer. I'm talking to event planners or events or show promoters, etc.
interesting.
like that, or radio people that worked in radio that were in school. Because the only place you can really meet them is school anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
if I'm coming to school, I'm not coming for the classes. I'm coming to figure out my own work. Yeah. So I was hardly ever. That would be too obvious if I'm just staying in my room doing what. So if it was not going to school to go and network with the people I wanted to deal with, it was going to be in the studio. So that was what I was
So, what
spending.
made you drop this music career?
It
It
was
did not
also
blow.
it was first of all I did not blow. But second of all, I mean, in the context of where I was probably the biggest artist.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I see
Um.
why you enjoyed the school a lot.
Yeah.
You had all the attention.
I did have the attention. She went to the school as
Are you
well,
serious? Is
so
that
she
where you
knows.
guys met?
Yeah. So
Wow,
she knows what I'm talking about.
interesting.
So yeah,
So she's the lucky one now.
yeah. I'm also lucky. You don't let me sleep on the road this night. I was known, but I didn't think I like music. I'm still doing music in some way. Like I'm hosting musicians in my
Yeah.
space. I'm managing some of them or helping or consulting in some way because I'm a music head. But I didn't think it was. I think it was self-awareness to know that I'm not really supposed to be in front.
Okay.
Doing that was me being in front.
Yeah.
Even though, yeah, I didn't have a choice and I did it while it lasted. But the moment I found an opportunity to be behind and I could still have as much impact
Engagement
and
and impact.
engagement, I'm like, nah, I don't want to ever be the person again. I want to be the other person.
And that never made you feel like a failure at any point.
No. Bro, let me tell you something. When I was in school, there was no popping producer at the time I didn't have access to. I knew all of them. I had Whiskey's phone number. It was on my WhatsApp then. I would go to First Stack. If you knew First Stack, that was where all of them were.
Yeah.
They
First
knew
Time
me.
Boys and
Yeah.
music.
They were the ones.
Studios.
I would spend nights in the studio with them Vector, with them SARS, all of them. So I was okay with that.
Okay.
And there was also no real metric of
Success
at the time.
Okay.
There was no Apple Music Top 100. There was no. It was Naija
No
loaded.
pressure.
You put your music on wapru.com and people would download it. And I was having the downloads. I would be in the barber shop and my song is playing.
Interesting.
I'm
What was
inside.
your stage name?
I'm never going to tell you that.
Okay, it's to find whoever was in your school at
I'm
the time.
never going to tell you that. What are you paying me to be on this podcast? If you pay me, maybe I can give you that exclusive.
All right.
But yeah, it was in my own definition. I was doing okay. So when I stopped, it was also because I left. That was like my environment.
The
So when I
environment
left
that
school,
nurtured what
yeah,
you were doing.
exactly. So when I left the school, there was no reason to do that anymore.
That makes sense. Yeah, so you moved to Lagos from Osun State.
No,
Okay,
I moved to Ibadan.
Ibadan. Is that what you did?
So no. I live in Ibadan. Even going to Osun State, going anywhere, Ibadan was home. Yeah.
Okay.
I moved to Lagos after I left school and after I got the undertaking that I cannot. What will I do? I should be in that house. I can't be in that. They didn't chase me. They didn't chase me out of the house, but I must show myself. Yeah, I had to leave. So I left. I moved to Lagos. I started living with my uncle. Another story. But it was very quick before I knew that I also cannot live with people. So I started living alone very quickly. I was living in Kwakwa Aguda, even though it was not a place that anybody should live. But I was living there, paying per month or per day or per week. How they used to collect it with all this face your apartment. But I was going to advertising school. I was interning in an advertising agency as well. My friend Uche of blessed memory was the one that orchestrated that internship. So it was a me knowing that yes, Lagos is where it's happening. Nothing was happening in Ibadan. I did things in Ibadan. I used to do a conference in Ibadan. I had a TEDx license in Ibadan. I organized TEDx events. I worked as a designer for so many organizations in Ibadan, even with the government. But I knew that at the time, I just had 1 million naira in my head. That was my definition of success. And I asked myself that, who can I design for? That'll give me 1 million. That's why I stopped designing. I've not stopped designing, but like commercially.
Yes. Because it didn't look like
I didn't see the path to scaling. Now I understand how people build studios and how you can charge, but then I didn't see it. So I was looking for a career path that I can earn that kind of money. Because the only definition of success to me and to my parents even was, how much are you making? So, and advertising gave me that.
Just as an intern,
No,
or as
no,
you
no, no, no,
built
no,
the
no. As I
career
built the career, but
further.
I grew very fast.
Okay.
I spent the first 2 years as like an assistant art director. Then somebody came into my life. His name is Freddie. I've never spoken about Freddie on any of these podcasts that I've done, so I think I should give him credit for that.
Okay.
This guy was working in oil and gas, so he had money, but he was very creative and he wanted to start a creative agency. And he started one, and then he found me on somewhere, maybe Facebook, through a friend. He needed a creative director for the agency because he still was doing oil and gas. He just wanted the agency to be running. And I went to, from that, my first job, where I was earning 35K or so as an intern. And then I became assistant director. The salary moved to 60K. But I stopped loving the job. So I was really looking for an exit plan. Shout out to Yomi. We are cool now, but I didn't leave on a great note. So Freddie calls me and says, "Oh, I should come for a chat." It's the greatest interview I've ever had in my life.
Why?
Because he wasn't a boss. He wasn't, he wasn't conventional at all. We just had a chat. And I told him, I showed him my portfolio. And he said, "What do I want?" And I said, the person that recommended me told me that he had money, that I should just say something big. And in my head, something big salary was 100K. So, and I said 150K. I was like, okay, he told me 100K, let me put another 50K. And he agreed.
And you couldn't believe
I couldn't believe it. My brother, I started earning 150K then, and I became rich. First of all, I love the job, because my previous agency, you can work for 6 months. You've not seen the execution of your work anywhere. This place, I'm creating something today, is on the billboard next week. Like, I was seeing my work. I was going into meetings with him. It just took me everywhere. And it was also paying me well. So I remember my first salary was cash. I went to Ibadan. Gave my mom half of it. She believes that I was Yahoo. She told all my sisters that, hey, but she collected it. But she collected it. So, but I didn't need
She
to.
needs a podcast. She needs to defend herself.
No, but she collected. You say it's Yahoo, but you collected it. But it made me so proud that I could do that. And even though she never understood what I did till very recently, she saw that, oh, maybe. And I'm like, well, I'm getting these jobs without a degree. In this industry, they don't ask for that. They ask for portfolios. And I think that I might really do well here. And, bro, that was the beginning.
So you have been an OG before OGs. Like,
I've been around,
you've been around.
I've been around small.
That's interesting. I don't think I ever heard. I think the first time I saw you would have been at Gbemuro's wedding.
Oh,
Yes, but
Ibadan.
I don't think we interacted per
Yeah, I
se.
remember.
Yes.
I actually remember seeing you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I saw you on Tunji's story earlier maybe mid last year. Yeah. And Tunji knows everybody, something like that.
Industry. I call him industry for
this
a
one.
reason.
Tunji is posting this guy again and again. Like, who is this guy? Let me go and check.
You know, if you don't share, but people would think you came yesterday if you don't talk. So, and I understand why you feel that way, because when did I start talking? I was just doing my work.
Is this part of the season of me that you're talking about?
Well, this even started before the season of me. I started realizing that great things can go unnoticed. So no matter how much work you do, if you don't share, so I just wanted to share more in comfortable, measures.
Okay.
So I was saying maybe 1 out of 10 yeses to, oh, come and speak here. I'll say yes. Say no to other ones. Oh, come and do this. And I started realizing that, oh, maybe I do have some things to share, actually. So that was even before the me era. I just thought it was, I was doing myself and the industry a disservice. If people know and they don't share, the people that don't know, when they share, stop abusing them. Because you that you know, they are calling you, the no answer. So I wanted to lead by example.
Okay. So, like, in considering the things that you think you have to share now, what are the top 2 things that you think are very important for you to get put out there? Yeah.
About me, about my work. I
Both.
think I think first of all, I want to let people, not just me, share more.
Okay.
So I want people who are like me or who were like me, who did a lot of things and didn't say anything about what they did, to like share more. So I'm using my own formula for a lot of other people. So I'm working with people, not even management or agency, just like advising people on how to share, how to tell their deepest. Okay, this is the answer to this question. My longest client inside Ikpe-Etim, who had a big story to share, but lived with it for a very long time and didn't say anything. And she only just disappeared from the industry. She's an actor. And when I met her, I was working at the AMA Awards. I was stage managing, art directing, etc. And she was hosting that year, so we got talking. She told me about her story. And I'm like, people need to learn this. People need to know that you went through this. She swore that she was never going to say it. And I think one of my biggest achievements ever is getting her to tell that story. So seeing that I had the power to do that, I'm like, who else is not sharing that should be sharing? Because that story changed their life and other people's lives as well. And imagine not telling that story. Imagine the people that would have like died because they didn't want to go through the procedure she went through because they can't find any living reference.
So, okay.
It's that deep. So sharing can be the difference between life and death. It's that serious. So your story, your experience, the things you've learned, is not just for you to learn and keep quiet. But we live in a world where there's this stigma around saying too much or sharing, or it feels very overdone. But I've learned that these things don't really matter. They don't really matter. So I think Insight gave me that blueprint to share more, both for myself and the other people I work with. So I am helping other people share more. But what I want people to know, if I have to like say the same thing for the rest of my life, is that these things are possible. So it's very philosophical, but that's really what has driven me all my life. Like, I've lived a very impossible life. There's no reason why I am where I am. Like, absolutely not. So, but living proof, and there are so many living proofs around us that but even if you see these living proofs, you still are living with this deep level of imposter that is, yeah, it can happen to this person, but it cannot happen to me. But it really can. So I'm using my work as case study. So if I was, when we got the Polygon space, I was driving to the office and I saw on the junction leading to my office, there's Ogilvy. Ogilvy is the biggest agency in the world. I remember my biggest dream was to work at Ogilvy as an ad boy that year. And having a space on the same street with Ogilvy meant a lot to me, and I shared it. Whatever, if you think it's pride, but me, I know that it's helping somebody. It's giving somebody that hope that
your dreams are valid.
Maybe, just maybe. So those are the things I just want people to know, that there is really no special place for
Special people.
special people, and it can be anybody.
Mm.
I feel like that's to aspire to perspire. But
Yeah,
it's
it
the
sounds.
truth.
Yeah, it's the truth. Yeah, I mean, like, I think for a while there was an attack on being motivational.
Yeah, there still is now.
And I think it's interesting because there's no successful person I've met that is not by default motivational.
Yeah, because if your eye don't see, you will motivate even
Yeah.
when you are not trying.
Yes.
So there are people that have built careers out of motivation. Now speaking,
Yeah.
I don't know
And they
about that.
say things to just
Yeah, that they don't have
proof.
any actual tangible proof
Yes.
of what they are talking about.
Yeah.
But your life can be a motivation without even speaking.
Yeah. True.
So you just come, you are speaking on a podcast like this, and you're telling your real story, and people need. Life is hard. Life is incredibly hard, and there is no hospital for life being hard. If there is no physical symptom of what is, you can't go to the hospital. Can you? Something must be physically wrong.
Yeah, you have to even diagnose it.
Yeah.
First.
But for life just being hard, I tweeted something which said that nobody should be an adult without learning about it. Because I'm just realizing how we just grow.
And we're thrown
And we're thrown into
water.
this thing, and I'm like, so I'm supposed to figure all of this out. So if that day I just open a TikTok or I open an Instagram story that just says something, my day can be made just because of that. So I understand the attacks, but the people that are attacking, you get the podcast where they listen to now.
True.
So I think that people should calm down. Let's be honest with each other. So we need it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do need it.
Yeah. You said something about sharing and oversharing. So at this point, do you think that there's nothing like oversharing?
That's what Fuad will say. Fuad told me this when I started my Losing Daylight project. So Losing Daylight, so I'm using my story and I'm chipping in my work as well so that we don't need to get there. So I've spoken about Polygon, which is like the creative space I opened last year. Losing Daylight is an effort to collect film history and make it presentable with art forms so that young people can understand where the industry is coming from. A very artistic approach. So Fuad is doing a project similar called Archiving. And we had a long conversation at the beginning because we knew that there would be like an overlap. Yeah. And I saw Fuad, because Fuad is like me. He has done amazing work. See, Fuad built Zikoko, literally. But there's no way you will go and Google it. You won't find it. So we're both talking to each other about sharing. Bro, we are raising money now. When you are raising money, there's nothing like oversharing.
Yeah.
That's what he said to me. And you can see the progress. How it comes and tells you that, okay, these are the number of newspapers that we have archived, blah, 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 blah. He's now doing interviews everywhere. He's now speaking. Nobody will tell you. Because you get to a point in life where oversharing is the path to getting what you want, to build the thing you are trying to build. And obviously, there are still guardrails. Gary V, who I consume a lot, is the definition of oversharing. I don't know what his wife looks like. And he's married with children.
Yes.
I don't know what they look like.
Sure.
But Gary V will say everything, share everything. There's a camera attached to him 247. But I've never seen his wife before. So you can overshare and still have your own personal life that you're. Yeah. But in terms of your practice, there's nothing like oversharing.
Yeah. As long as it's purposeful.
Yes. As long as it's purposeful, you will find value for oversharing.
That makes sense. I hope I overshare this year. Well, so like about Polygon, right? I think that's one of the things that really stood out to me when I eventually decided to check you out. And is that I've been thinking of doing something similar in that light. But that project was it struck a chord. Very, very, very different chord. Having a space for creatives that I could see the fluidity of the idea of like what Polygon is supposed to be and what it's supposed to nurture. I don't even think that at least is defined in a way that limits what
Yeah,
is possible.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's what particularly struck me because as a designer, someone who has like loved design for the longest time, I think the word design itself almost boxes
Yeah.
people or designers into that realm. And the way I've thought about design from a first principle view is,
Mm-hmm.
if design is just Photoshop or having a studio, or like, that's design is way more
Yeah.
powerful than that. Design is life,
Yeah.
right? And it should be able to have relevance with everyday people,
Yeah.
not just people who decide that they want to be designers because they have a software on their laptop.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it gave me um a very is a good reference for me
Yeah.
because now I'm trying to do something like that in Jos.
Nice.
Um,
You're from Jos.
no, I'm not from Jos. I just happen to be connected there at the moment.
Okay.
So, there's room to do a number of things. And yeah, having a space is something I'm also looking forward to, where people can actually, like, I'm trying to develop a design culture that's with everyday people.
Mm.
And of course, that will require talking about things that are not particularly like design
Mm.
focused things, you know. So, but yes, I just was going to mention how big of an
Thank
impact
you.
that project is, and I really look forward to like what more would come from that. And
Yeah.
maybe at some point, I'll let you know how far
Yeah. Please.
I'm going with that.
I am very interested. I think that there's something about ideas whose time have come. You
Mm,
start seeing different versions of them,
mm,
and it can never be enough because we've lived in this country for so long that they've told us what co-working spaces should look like.
mm.
So you already have a picture of a co-working space that was heavily led by the tech ecosystem,
Yeah, true.
and there was nothing for the creative. So
Mm,
I started my own professional career in a co-working space in Ibadan called
mm.
Innovation Hub. I couldn't
Okay.
even afford to pay them, so I was exchanging my design skills so that they'll give me desk
That
for free.
is reminds me of Coca.
So I've been negotiating since I was young.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and so I knew that at some point in life I wanted something like that, but a lot more
Fluid.
fluid
Mm.
because there was a limit to how much noise you could make. There was a limit to what you could bring in terms of food or drink. Like, it was just too much rules and regulations.
Reggie.
Yeah, and working with creative people for this long in different capacities, I know what they want. I know
Mm.
what they need. I know the kind of environment they need to
They
function
need
in.
function. Fluid.
And there are different stages in somebody's career now. You've managed talent, you've consulted, you've advised, you've spoken. You need to start showing that you're really about
What you say
what
you're
you're
about.
saying. So,
Yes.
and there is no better way to show that than to build.
Yeah.
And I have a big interest in creative real estate. I don't know if I
Mm.
coined that phrase, but I've
I
never read
like
it
that.
anywhere. Yeah, I call it creative real
I
estate.
like that.
I have a big interest, but I didn't think Polygon was going to happen last year.
Mm.
It was in my maybe 5-year plan.
You see,
It it
this is
was
part of the reasons why this is so interesting to me, because when I think about what I talked about I'm trying to do, it's more of like a design academy,
yeah
long term vision. And my mind has been too many things have been coming through to me that has been saying that don't think this needs to happen in a year's time,
yeah.
or like do what you need to do
I
to
think
make it
just keep
happen
keep an
now.
open mind. I wasn't trying to do Polygon last year at all. As at April of last year, there was no Polygon in view,
Interesting.
right? But I knew that I wanted my own office. I don't.
Okay.
I wanted to be like everybody comes to my house, and I wanted to be able to separate that.
Okay.
So that was not Polygon. That was my office.
Mm.
And when I started checking out spaces, the thing about when you have something on your mind
I
for so
start
long, yeah,
projecting it.
yeah, you see things that look like it.
Yes.
So I'm like, it would be nice, but I can't afford this. But again, open mind.
Yes.
And I found a place that was too big to be my office, which is the space where I now. Like, okay, what if we demarcate just my office, and then the remaining space becomes a proof of concept of this my idea of a creative hub. And I called a friend, Solomon, who is a designer, to come and see the space. And he was like, what? So it made me very excited. I wasn't as excited, but I'm like, if he's this excited, maybe I'm seeing something that he's seeing something I wasn't seeing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, there's money in my account that can pay for this thing now. So let's do it. So I take some big risks because you spend the money on something else.
Yes.
Right.
So justify
I'm like, let me just do it now. Even though it wasn't in my plan that year, we built it. And one of my favorite people is Reggie Lablo. Yeah. And there's this Reggie quote that says, you can spend time building the product, but what you need to spend time in is building the environment that the product is in. So it gives the example of if you put this bottle in a gallery in New York, they can call that bottle $2 million.
Yes.
If they put that bottle in, what's the name of this place that they dump all the refuse? If you put it there, nobody will care about it. So it was the environment matters
as much as the product.
And creative people are my product. So I wanted to put them in a place where they can really feel different, feel something they've really never felt before, the kind of freedom. In Lagos, bring out your camera in most spaces. They're already coming to challenge you.
Yeah. Even beautiful places.
Yeah. They're already coming to challenge you. So I knew that I wanted to break all of the barriers of, okay, can you create here or can you do this here?
Is this allowed here?
When the name, so I'm a naming guy. Polygon has been on my name list for a long time. I didn't know what it was going to be. I just picked it because the idea of Polygon being multiple-sided just represented what we're trying to do. So you can come in as a fashion designer today. Tomorrow is a photographer you're seeing next tomorrow, and you can be anything because that's my story. If I was restricted so much in building all the things I've built, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So what will it look like if you give somebody else the opportunity to be anything?
To be many things.
And this stigma around, you're many things, you have to be.
Yes.
That's the only
Especially
way. That's the only way to live. You will live a sad life if you are one thing.
Because that thing then dictates how successful or.
So that's the Polygon story, and like I said, it's a proof of concept. The plan is to actually open up multiple spaces like this and let crazy people walk in there and be.
Yeah.
Just be. The things that happen in that space are unbelievable to me. The things that people have done, what they've created in that space. So I'm like, just build a space for creative people to express.
And open it up.
You'll be shocked at what they come up with.
Interesting. I'm stealing a lot from
100%.
that. Yes. So I see you call yourself a culture facilitator and
middleman.
Some way I see the connection even with what Polygon is meant to do.
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about that? Like, if you're facilitating culture, okay, middleman might be interpreted a little bit differently. But when I think of facilitating, it makes me imagine that you have an ideal vision of like where the culture needs to move to, and you're acting as a middleman to like. Yeah. So tell me a bit more about that.
So I'm a middleman by career, and I mean we can call it whatever we want to call it, all these fancy names. But what I am is a middleman.
Okay.
I bring people together. I bring opportunities together, brands and people, brands and talent and talent, whatever you can think of. I'm like the guy between to make sure that both parties have a fair deal and they are happy. Now, when you do that at scale, you start thinking about how can this connection that you create impact the culture differently. So for example, I manage Tunde Onakoya, who is a Chessmaster. He's a humanitarian at first. He built an organization to empower kids who can't afford to go to school using the gift of chess, right? But nobody will care about that if that's all you are doing. How do you make that work relevant in culture? I'm your guy. How do I introduce that product, that ambition, that mission that you have to people who are not necessarily going to find you being a humanitarian. So to people who are consuming content on YouTube, on TikTok, to people who just want to be cool. Because at some point, the cause and the culture must overlap. No matter what you do, you must find relevance in culture, no matter who you are. Malala, who was shot in the stomach by the Taliban, she signed to CA in Hollywood. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that? So every time I read, every time I research, every time I observe, I'm a big social listener. I'm just listening and listening to things. I'm seeing that there's an overlap in different industries, in the culture. So music and film.
Yeah.
Music and social work, film and fashion. And there is no, people are operating in silos too much.
So you're finding the melting
point. So I'm
point.
finding the melting point that, okay, what can I do to bring these people together? What projects can I create? What platform can I build? So I'm literally that culture middleman in that regard. That's how I describe it.
That's very interesting. I absolutely agree that everything has to find the relevance in culture.
Yes.
At the end of the day.
Even religion.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I even think religion is the most sophisticated form of branding.
Yeah.
That we have.
Yeah.
Even though it can sound like fallacy, but it's the truth.
No, but it's true. It's true. You need, the church is a business, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are in a building that you need to pay for.
Yeah.
You need to pay for power. You need to pay for. So that means you need customers.
Yeah.
Right. So they can find God. They can find spirituality, connection, fellowship.
Yeah. They are meeting a need.
Yes, but they're also meeting a need.
Yes, but they are also helping to sustain.
Yeah, to run that organization. It's an
exactly.
organization. So if the set man or the lead person is not in culture, you are going to have a tough time running that church, running the organization. So everybody, no matter how noble you are, so everybody has to find how the culture can support entrepreneurs. Same thing.
Yeah.
How can culture? What is happening in culture? Okay, it's Afrobeat. Okay, it's this. It's fashion. It's pop. So you must find a way. You must collaborate and tap into other people's audience and bring them into your own, because that's how culture should operate. It should not operate in silos.
So, like, what would you say about the Nigerian culture? Just maybe from a positive and negative point of view. Maybe I have something in mind here. But what would you say about the Nigerian culture and where you think it needs to go from here? And I'm not speaking specifically creatively. You can think as broadly as possible.
I think the Nigerian culture, if it needs to be meaningful to the world, needs to figure out identity. I think that's our biggest problem as Nigerians. We don't have identity.
Really?
The pasta that we consume is the legacy of the Italians.
Yeah.
Right. The kimono that we all wear is the legacy of the Japanese. The pizza is Italian. Yeah. So like there are things you will see that the suit is the English.
Yeah.
And tea. What is the Nigerian identity?
Is it that it doesn't exist or it hasn't been articulated?
It probably exists. But because of how we are still very deep-rooted in this secondary slavery, and we need Western validation. It is everybody wants to speak English a certain way to please a certain group of people. We were watching a show yesterday, this Maso Yebo show.
I love that. Yeah,
and we're both having this conversation about how all of us, we code switch because we don't know how to speak
fluently
our language without including English in it.
Yes.
I don't know where that came from. I don't know how that came to be. But I've never heard a Chinese man code switch in my life.
True.
I've never heard a Chinese man speak and hear English. I've never heard.
Except he's trying to speak to someone.
Yeah, then he's trying to.
Yeah.
But they are in their communities. They are proud of it. They are proud of their fashion. They are proud of their. So I think that for our culture to be exported, we really need to own something and be a bit more confident in our identity.
Okay. That's very interesting. So, do you believe in Nigeria?
Wow, that's a tough question. Do I believe in Nigeria? Wow. I don't know how to answer that. And I'm afraid that I might say things that will become clickbait on the internet. So, can I not answer that? So, the, do I believe in the Nigerian state, the Nigerian government?
Mm.
Big no. Big no. But I think Nigeria is bigger than the government.
Yeah.
So I believe in Nigeria as my home. Forever will be my home. Believe in Nigerian industries.
Mm.
I believe that we have some of the best. We have like the best banking system in the world. We have the best medical system in the world. Our doctors are the best in the world. Our artists are the best in the world. We have all of these best things. But again, operating in silos. So we're not cohesive enough to be
To
one
scale.
Nigeria. Yeah.
Mm.
So no matter how successful one industry becomes, it's not
Takes
enough.
from it.
Yeah, it's not
Just.
enough to impact on the Nigerian culture and the Nigerian perception.
Mm.
There are things that have happened to Nigerians in the world that ideally should change how people think about this country.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. You
But
can
it
tell that it
doesn't
doesn't
reach
change.
in.
Yeah, it's not reaching enough, and that's because of how deep rooted the disconnect is. So I believe in Nigerians.
Okay.
I believe in what we can be. There's evidence everywhere in literature, in fashion, in film. In Cynthia Rivio is Nigerian. Like her parents moved from here to go and build a life, and she's about to become EGOT now. Everything she has won everything.
Mm.
So like there are so many people we can talk about. When Toby Amusan broke the world record, like that was such a big news that should change how they look at you in the airport.
Mm.
It doesn't change it. What Anthony Joshua does every time is enough. What Chimamanda does, what Bonner does, but it's still not. Yes, you are still not getting visas
Yeah.
because they're still the biggest elephant in the room. The Nigerian prince, the scam narrative,
Mm.
the Yahoo narrative. That's what everybody knows. That's what is in their embassy document. That's the lens in which they are looking at you through before they see anything. Because it's not enough. How many
Yeah.
Nigerians are really exceptional that so even though we are not communicating it enough. We
Yeah.
have the National Orientation Agency that their job is to build narrative like this based on our wins. But I do not think that we care enough about this perception.
Mm.
Because once you make money, you can buy another passport. It can be done. Everybody's looking forward to being done with Nigeria.
Mm.
So
Are you?
this man, I cannot be done with Nigeria. First of all, I have businesses. My mom is here, etc. But like, everybody should test their capacity in a system that works.
Mm.
That's all I would say. I think you will never truly know what you can become if the environment keeps living. The same thing I said about the Virgil example, container and product. The biggest tragedy in this world is to never know.
Your true
Hi.
capacity.
Say it's sad. And if you don't try and find out, I'm not saying you should relocate permanently or jackpot, but you have to find out whatever that means for you.
Mm.
You have to find out what you can do if they don't take lights. You have to find out what you can do if nobody's passing one way.
Mm.
Like, just find out. Now, whatever that means, if you want to live permanently, if you want to, but nobody should live and die here if you can. Unfortunately, that will be very reductive because we are 200 million people here. How many people can afford to move out of Nigeria? So somehow, some way, people still needs to be tolerating Nigeria. Like, there needs to be like, I don't know, an escape, even if it cannot be outside Nigeria. How do you find your own happiness? How do you build your own reality?
Yeah.
In your own little corner,
Yes.
in Ijebu-Ode, in Abeokuta, in Ibadan. Like, you must build a reality for yourself, even if you can't travel. Because there is no, I don't believe in this government, man. I don't believe in any government.
Fair.
So it's not just even Nigeria. I think that,
Yeah.
what was I watching yesterday? That any country that has become really, really successful
It's because.
is because of the people,
Yeah.
in spite of the government.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, Trump is president. Doesn't get worse than that now. I mean, I don't know what your political leanings are, but like we can already tell in the first 2 weeks, all these different executive orders that are already affecting the world. You're pulling out of the UN, you're pulling out of the USAID. Like, even if he has some benefits, is it well thought out? You're seeing these cabinet picks that are very questionable. You are seeing all of these things. You come to Nigeria, you are seeing the same thing. So, which government is really
All that.
all that?
Yeah.
So you have to build things in
Yeah.
spite of the government.
Yes.
Even though there's a cap to what you can build.
Still.
Because for example, K-pop, K-drama, as huge as they are, it's because the government is funding it. Like, government starts record labels in Korea.
They are involved in the
Yes,
creative economy.
they are
actively.
funding the K-dramas. Like, so that's the only way. Even in Hollywood, in America, Hollywood is a government project.
Yeah.
So Hollywood Chamber of Commerce is like our Minister of Trade,
Yeah.
Ministry of Trade here. They are the ones that started all of these things to make that place what it has become. So you need the government, but when you see that waiting for the government is taking forever, what can you build?
You have to do what you can.
Yeah, I believe in the Nigerian. I'm Nigerian. You are Nigerian. Look at what we've been able to do for ourselves now. No government has given me any money. Well, I consult for government at some point, and yeah, I get paid because of my technocracy. It's not because I'm partisan.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to wait for you to fix the road on your street. The government needs to approve it. So that's how that's how deep these things are. I don't believe that government is the way to go. I think that people need to sit
Come
up
together and do what they have to do. Okay, interesting. I think I already got your viewpoint on trying to travel or not travel. I think is reasonable and rational. But everything you do today now, I know like life is a trade-off. So what are the trade-off that is costing you to be able to continue doing the things that you're doing or optimally?
What are my trade-offs? That's the question. If you asked me this question last year or 2 years ago, it would have been my health. If you ask me this question any time before, and I think it still is, I think that I don't care as much
as you need to,
as I need to for my health, because I'm building, because I'm chasing, and God has been taking care of me, and maybe I'm taking that for granted, but yeah, I think that's the biggest trade-off. When I was in the peak of advertising, I had a serious crisis. Serious crisis that made me sit down and think that this life. I remember the doctor sat me down and he said, "You need to be alive to spend the money you are trying to make." I think I can never forget it, because it was the same doctor that scanned my mom to see that I was a twin in her stomach. So it's like a long. So
he has your history.
He said it with so much care.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of these doctors that was just, next patient.
Yeah.
He was concerned because I was having stroke symptoms. Bro, like I was having chest radiations radiating to the left arm, classic stroke symptoms. And this man was like, "How old are you? What is your problem?" It was genuinely concerned. I was on Coke diet, like Coca-Cola diet, let's be clear. And I wasn't eating well. Coffee, Coke, not sleeping well. Terrible lifestyle. And one day I just crashed. I was rushed to the accident and emergency in UCH. And they had all of these things connected to me. They were running all the scans possible. They were not seeing anything. And the man told me that there's nothing medically wrong, but there's everything physiologically wrong with you.
You have pushed your body to its very limit.
And that was like a big call to action for me. And I started doing better. That was when I quit 9 to 5 as well.
Okay.
and I was trying to build my own entrepreneurship practice. But while I learned a lot from that and I was taking it easier, there are seasons of my life that's I can't take things easy. But so I believe in building at scale once and selling 1,000,000 times because you've already built. Now in that building phase,
Whatever it takes,
bruh, you have to give it to it. So I believe that the same mental strength, physical strength that it takes to do small projects is what it takes to do big projects.
So you might as well
do big ones and wait it out, let that one pay for the next couple of years. So that's my strategy now. Okay. So I hardly do like small scale. Yeah. Things. So because I want to put in my hours in this big thing, and then hopefully that can pay for the next. Yes. But in that period of building, whenever I'm building something big, everything suffers. Everything is a trade-off.
Relationship.
Everything suffers. But I am consoled by the fact that there's a time limit to what I'm building. It's not like this is not my life.
Yes.
I just need that, okay, this is happening right now. We'll probably do this for the next 3 months to get this sorted. You're back to back. You're not sleeping. You're early mornings, late nights, not feeding well, etc. And when you're done, I know how to rest. I really do know how to rest. My biggest problem in life is hotels. It is where I spend my money the most. Like I can pay any amount of money
to just escape.
Yeah. So I kind of find that compensation okay for me because when I'm resting. I've been in my house for the past 1 week. So when people, I do work hard and I can communicate that I work hard, but there's no way to communicate that you are resting. You can only communicate when you're busy. Like, how do you say, oh yeah, I'm resting today? Obviously, when you're on holiday, it's clear. But I don't need to be on a holiday before I'm in my rest zone. So I find that balance, to make sure that when I'm resting, I'm having a good time. Yeah. But when it's time to build,
you have to be as intense
I am quite intense, yes.
So, like, who is the closest example for what you are trying to do or the life you are trying to build right now?
Clarence Evans. That's the easiest question you've asked me. Clarence Evans is the closest example. Clarence Evans was... Do you know Clarence Evans?
No.
Okay, Clarence was... It's the Black Godfather. That's what he was called. He passed 2 years ago at 93. He spent all his life bridging the gap between Black Hollywood and White Hollywood. He was the connector. He was the manager. So from Jackson 5 to Michael Jackson to Sarah Vaughan to Luther Vandross, name it. If you are black,
he's your guy.
He will make sure that the opportunities that the white folks are getting, you can also get it. And it wasn't just in entertainment. That's what I love the most about it. Muhammad Ali, it's because of Clarence Evans. Barack Obama, it's because of Clarence Evans. You can go on and on. And he lived a life that inspires me so much because he never even had tools. He lived when there were no computers or phones or all of these things.
He had basic principles.
And he bridged the gap in ways that nobody can ever dare. And I think the reason why that's my human reference for a very long time is because it's hard to find people who do what I do successfully. So in my line of work, after you manage talent for 2 years, 3 years, you're either making films, you're a film producer, or you're doing something else. So it's a very quick pivot.
Because you learn quickly that
this is a very, very thankless job.
Yeah.
Management is incredibly hard and incredibly thankless. So people are quick to find the exit. But I know that I'm going to be working with talent in different capacities. Obviously, not day-to-day managing talent, but till I die, I'm going to be bringing people together for opportunities till I die. I'm going to be building platforms that talents will benefit from till I die. Those things are like sacrosanct. And the only person that lived that way, bro, at 93, he was getting his Hollywood Walk of Fame, the star on his Hollywood Walk of Fame. That's how long he has done this for. So definitely Clarence.
That's interesting. Is there any Nigerian?
No. No, nobody. There's no, and that's not because I don't love Nigeria. Obviously, Nigerians are great, but first of all, how old is Nigeria? Then how old is entertainment in Nigeria? For you to find references that have
maybe you be our reference.
Amen. There are people I respect, obviously. I respect Bose Ogulu so much. Brona's mom. Yeah, I respect Steve Babaiko so much. He's my goat.
Did you ever get to work with him?
Yeah, definitely. Contributed to my career immensely. There were projects we did together. I do respect people here. But bro, it's if you know who Clarence was, the bar is quite high. It's quite high.
I see. So, in all of this, what would you regard as like your biggest failure? Something that, leaves a very sour taste.
Biggest failure. I'm still very young. I don't think I've had the biggest failure
so far.
So regrets, yes. Okay. Maybe I have a few regrets, but like the way I kind of operate, I am steps ahead of failure. So Steve Babaiko, that I just mentioned, taught me to fail fast. So I'm doing something today, I know it will fail, but I'm still hoping for that 10% chance of success. So when it fails, I'm not really shocked because I want to quickly test that this won't work, and then I figure out a better way. Yes. So there's so many things I've done that haven't worked. Are they failures? No. But regret, yes. I'm sure you think I'm going to say I regret leaving school. No, I don't.
You already established that.
I don't. I have personal regrets. Like, for example, my father, I didn't spend as much time as I wanted to. I didn't document him as I wanted to. We don't have photos together. So I now live a very conscious life. As young as I am very conscious of my legacy. And I don't think I have any project that I've ever attempted or that I've ever built that is not hinged on legacy. Road to Blow was a platform that we built for emerging talents to tap into resources, etc. Losing Daylight is a historical and arts project. Polygon is real estate. These things will outlive me.
Yeah.
So I'm now more intentional about the kind of relationships I build, what I forge, the people I am with. Because at the end of the day, I watch this TikTok guy that interviews 90-year-old and 80-year-old men. What do they regret most? Is that they didn't spend enough time with who they loved. That's all. 9 out of 10. They were too busy. They didn't do this. Their daughter doesn't like them. That's all. At that point,
all you care about.
Nobody talks about what you built anymore.
Yeah.
So I try to be as present. I'm a family person. So I try to be as present with people that at the end of the day, when all is done, you will not be living inside Polygon. That's not where you be living. Be living in a home with people that you love. So that matters to me.
Interesting. So, being a visionary as you are, well, I was going to divert to ask about how you make money or how you balance money, since everything you do is more legacy driven, meaning that you may not reap the actual...
That was a very big problem for me.
So what's your resolve for that at this point?
No, I know business now. No, then I was too much about the legacy and I didn't think about business models.
Okay.
So like I'll pump in money into something and I don't know where the money is going to come back from.
You justify that.
Legacy. When you are hungry and you are broke, you start thinking that both can coexist.
Yes.
Yeah. So now I am now doing Excel sheets to see, okay, how much can we make this month that can fund this, that can fund that, and there are still legacy projects as well. So my income is dependent on other people's income because I work in management. We earn commissions,
Okay.
and I don't have too much control over that. If my client does not make money, what will I do? Nothing. I fall back on the things I've built for myself, and those are doing okay. So I am not obsessed over. I know they will outlive me, so I'm not too obsessed over the legacy, this, because that's already the core. That's already the why. But I can now look at this project on a broader view, that how do they pay the bills? Because now I have a lot of responsibilities. Like, and what I was saying earlier about adulting and what the things you need to pay for, So you have to be thinking about Naira and Kobo. How does this make money? So it was terrible, but now it's better. Road to Blow has not made me a Naira. And you get how much you spend.
I can imagine.
So that was a mistake that will never repeat itself. So sometimes you make costly lessons like that that makes you start thinking about things differently.
Great. So does being a visionary make you easier to work with or more difficult to work with? I'm talking from perspective of like people that are in your direct team, for instance.
You might have to ask them. But I think that it's definitely difficult. I think it's very difficult. People are used to the norm. And I'm not a
your standard might be different.
Yeah, I'm not a normal person. So I'm not going to operate my businesses like a CEO would. I'm extremely spontaneous. So I can make decisions. I just need to believe that I know what I'm doing. So for people who are not like me, it will be difficult.
Yeah.
For people who are like me, they will love it. So it depends on the person, the individual on the team. But I try as much as possible to come to everybody's understanding at everybody's level that, well, I communicate, I like to talk about everything. This is my style. You might not see me in the next 2 weeks because my work takes me out of town. I can travel anytime, etc, etc. Doesn't mean I don't care about the business. Or you might send me a message and I don't respond immediately. I need proactive people around me because I'm not a CEO. At the beginning of the year, my friend was telling me that, she was having stand-up with her team for the year. And I was like, they do that too. Bro, I don't do my own for December. I told them what we need to figure out in the new year. I didn't think that. So there are so many things that will not be conventional if you're working with me. But it doesn't mean there's no value there. Obviously, there's value. It's the personality that will determine whether you enjoy it or you don't.
Great. I think my last question would be, what idea, business, or product do you wish you created?
So many things, though. So many things. I think the most recent one was there's a project a friend is working on. I can't even talk about it a lot yet. But I love this so much. I can't because I've actually put out some of these episodes. Is a music producer, Cess, and he's doing this thing called car test, where is basically reflecting our daily lives as when you're in a car. That's when you want to test out music the most. That's when you want to see if a song is good. And he has built this entire idea around it that is pitching to brands, to car brands. I love the idea so much because that's me. If a song is not jamming in my car, you cannot jam anywhere. So that's a very good idea. I like I said, I'm a social listener, so I'm constantly checking out people's ideas, people's products. I'm like, that could archiving. Oh my goodness, brilliant idea.
Yeah.
If he didn't do it, it's in my path in the next few years. So there are some things that I'm very excited about, and I'm just hoping that they execute it as well as I wish.
As you wish it will be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the answer.
Nice. So thank you very much for your time. I think it's been very interesting. Maybe I had different questions, but I think it's been a more interesting journey. So yeah, if you were to recommend a guest, for instance.
What kind of guest? In what industry?
I'm agnostic to industry. Anybody doing anything interesting enough or have a very
If I were to recommend a guest, Tayo Patayo. They call him Give It to Tayo.
Okay.
Tayo, it's a matter of time. You will know about him. Yeah, and because you don't know about him yet, does not mean he has not done a lot.
Okay.
But he's one of those people that believe that their work will speak. The biggest lie in the world.
At least this age has come to prove it.
Yeah, your work does not have any form of mouth or So Tyra is a creator, cinematographer, filmmaker, storyteller, and he will have a lot to share. So I think that's one person. Have you had Tunji on this?
No.
Oh wow.
Tunji was supposed to come, but he just coincided with his movement. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but we have plans.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. No wahala.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
It was
I had a good time.
Yes.